Good to see you, man. Look at this, huh? Scott Allen.
Fake it till you make it.
That's right. Yeah, that's the motto around here. Tell you what, man, we built the whole business on that. Hey. I'm just playing, man. We got Scott Allen's in the house, man. We've been talking about bringing you on from episode 1.
Yeah. I've been watching it, man. It's been pretty interesting watching you guys.
You know what else is interesting? I got this in the mail today.
Senior citizens?
Yeah, it's a picture of Morgan Freeman. Right here. Morgan Freeman sent me something in the mail, Scott. I need your help. Your 2011 Nissan Versa has an urgent airbag safety recall.
Yeah, we didn't fix that.
Yeah, no.
Oh, could you have? That would have been cool.
No, we can't do recalls. But
no, so I saw this. Look at this. Very, very tiny. It says, a free loaner vehicle, towing service, or other alternate transportation may be available to minimize your inconvenience while your vehicle is being repaired.
Yeah,
look at
there's
how
a little
small
Astro over there.
Yeah, you see that? Look at how tiny it is, man.
Yeah.
But that's Morgan Freeman. A part inside your defective airbag can explode, shooting sharp metal fragments at drivers and passengers.
And they're like, how many voices does this guy do?
Oh, man.
Many.
Too many. Tony hates it.
Nah, it's all good.
So, what's going on with Courthouse Imports, man? Who are you? What do you do? What are you doing here in Virginia Beach?
Man, I'm just it's very funny because I'm used to being on the other side of this, and people talk about how nervous they are.
Yeah.
And I feel how nervous I am being.
You ain't nervous, man.
No, seriously, it's funny.
Did you see the last one? All of like 4 people saw it, and like you were one of them.
On.
It was like me, Matt, you, and like
the wives.
My wife. Yeah. So it's nothing.
Hey, look, I can remember when we first started our little podcast, and if we could get like 20 people, and then it was like 100, and then it was like, man, if we could just get 1,000. And last night, as soon as we got done, and we do ours live, and we had 3,800 views. As soon as we finished,
that's
and
cool.
I think it's up to 6,000 today.
Man, so what do you guys?
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, what do you guys talk about on your podcast? What's it called? What do you guys talk about?
It's Jack Dotson's Racing Insider News. So it's all kind of local and some big time racing. We just kind of talk racing and kind of more give the local guys some avenue for their sponsors and thank people and if they want to move up, they got PR is a big deal. So
yeah, man. Well, that's cool. We always see you. Scott Allen has started a watch party.
And you're doing it only on Facebook, right?
Yeah, just strictly live on Facebook.
That's cool, man. It's like you either stream on Facebook or YouTube. Like, those are the biggest platforms.
Yeah. So it works, man. It works. It's fun.
So,
are we sponsored by Coke?
Yeah, no, we're trying to.
Right? I mean, we have Pepsi on our show that's sponsored by.
Do you?
Is this a problem?
No.
Keep it out.
I just thought it was funny.
Now make sure. Now when you do place it down, make sure that the.
We're supposed to put like duct tape on everything, like on the front of the Mac, the computer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sorry, dude. I'm dropping the ball. On the Macintosh.
Yeah, we're supposed to black these out. No branding at all. Until we get paid.
Until you get paid. That's
Until
right.
we get paid.
That's what happens.
Right. Dig it, man. So how do we come to know you, man?
That was kind of funny. What's the realtor?
Ron.
Ron, great guy. And that was actually, it was funny. I was trying to talk him into sponsoring my race car. And that's actually how it all started. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man.
And I was like, man, that video you done is like really cool, man.
The video we shot for Ron.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
so I hit Ron up, and then I don't remember his response. I think I said something to him, and then next thing I know, he messaged me the next morning. I'm like, man, I hate salespeople. So it was like, hey, you could do the inspections on my car. Like, we already know each other. And I'm like, oh yeah. And it was like the Disney.
Yeah. All the Disney cruises and stuff like that.
Your dad, your family. It's like all the Disney.
So you've been doing Tony's vehicles for years, right?
Yeah, his dad and his mom. Yeah.
And then we mutual acquaintance through Ron Clark, and you saw some of the work we did for him. That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
I forgot that's how that started.
And it just made it feel so much more comfortable when I already knew you.
Yeah,
and it's made it so much easier. So,
right.
And word of mouth is where it's at, really.
Yeah, relationships, right? Like that's the whole thing. Like, it's funny. We might have told you that the broken record is like, stop trying to sell me your service. Like, you're really buying the relationship is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
because
absolutely.
everybody's gonna have, every mechanic, every realtor is gonna say, I got the best prices, the best service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whatever. Like, the truth is, it's like, who are you? Like, why do I trust you? I got to get to know
That's
you.
exactly
and
right.
That's what it boils down to. Like,
and I tell, man, most of my customers are really not customers. They're really friends.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's funny because I see, you know, their kids growing up and they're having kids and working on their car, and it's kind of, you know.
That must be crazy, man.
I'm sure when I'm in my 70s, I'll have the same experience.
Yeah. You look good. You look good, by the way.
Yeah,
You look
that's
good,
hard
man.
to do. That's hard to do. Believe me.
Well, we've had a lot of fun with you, man.
Oh, yeah.
We
for
were
sure.
talking about it earlier, and it's just like, man, you're one of our favorite customers because it's like, well, not even a customer, man. You're such a great friend now, and you let us do whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
But
to
people
advertise
love
for
it,
you.
man.
Yeah,
People love it.
That's
They
great.
do, man.
That's the goal, right?
Man, I can't tell you how many times people come through the shop and they were like, man, these commercials. My cousin come in from Texas the other day, and she was in the shop, and Jeffrey walked through, and she was like, I recognize him from the commercials.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And they laughed. And I would say the most popular one is the stuff when y'all threw the stuff in my face. I
Oh.
mean,
Oh, yeah,
people
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
loved it.
Dude, pull that up.
Yeah, you wanna,
Well, let's look at this, man.
let me see.
This was Tony's idea, by the way,
Was it?
What?
People
to
loved it.
shoot rocks and
Ah,
Debris, yeah.
and leaves into Scott's
Oh,
face.
you're talking about, okay.
Yeah, the air filter.
Air filter.
The air
program.
filter one, okay.
Can we talk about fresh air?
Yeah,
I mean,
let's
people
talk about it.
love that thing, man.
Yeah, it's awesome, man.
And people call and come in, they're like, man, these commercials, the price is going up.
The price is going up.
The price just went up.
The price just went up.
You saw that commercial? Price went up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's funny, man. Yeah, dude. Yeah, you let us do whatever we want, man, which was great. Here we go.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look
It's
at
so
this.
stupid, but it's funny as hell.
You gotta love fresh air. Boom. Headshot.
Let's talk about air filters. Don't be that guy.
Yo, what? Real quick, can I
So-
pause this?
Yeah.
What mic did we use?
Well, Mike, did we use that?
Because it
day?
sounds good.
No, we used the just the Rode shotgun mic. Right. Look at Scott's face right there. Dude, the funny part about that is, remember, that was all the debris we could get.
That was all of it.
Because they had just cleaned up the back of your lot.
Right,
So
right.
it was pristine. It was beautiful. So we spent 15 minutes trying to gather a bunch of leaves and rocks and mulch. Look at this.
Yeah,
Look at
I
this
mean-
set dressing we did. Look at this. A cone. Look at this.
Gotta love fresh air.
Yeah, that sounds good, man.
That's not bad. Let's let it
Let's talk
play.
about air filters.
Yeah.
Don't be that guy.
Oh,
That's a good catch.
Yeah, that was
that was a
pretty
great
funny.
kit. Look at this. Boom, buckets. How many times did it take to do that?
Right?
Once.
One time. One time. It took one time. We don't waste time, okay?
No.
That's what you, yeah.
It's funny because one guy called me, I race with, and he's like, I know damn well you did not make that shot.
Right.
I have slowed that video down, and I frame by frame, and
Yeah.
I cannot find where it breaks at.
Yeah, and you never will. And you'll never will find it. Because we went frame by frame. To make it look as good as possible, man. No, that was a fun day. We always have fun with you, man. That's great.
Yeah, I'm all about laughing and having a good time. And even though, like on our podcast, we've had people message us and be like, asked us, did we get along? Because we like joke each other so hard.
Yeah. Well, that means you really get along. You
Yeah.
love each other at that point. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right. Yeah,
That's what people.
exactly.
That's what friends do, man. That's great, man. That's great.
I'm just saving this. Don't mind me, guys.
Oh, that's all good. Yeah, this is the first episode where we showed a video. So we're going to superimpose it. And we're probably going to just stick it right over his head.
Yeah.
So, you know,
That would be pretty funny.
I was
it's done.
The dirt coming on my face like right here. It'd be
That's
hilarious.
funny, man. Very cool. Very
But no,
cool.
man, I think you guys are doing a good. I love the video so far with you guys.
Thank you,
I
man.
appreciate it, man.
And some of the struggles, man, that you had talked about on the first episode. And people, everybody looks at a business from the outside and they think they got it made.
Right.
Sure.
And they don't know the struggles that people go through, and y'all are talked about. I mean, I think we've kind of all gone through those things. But a lot of people, I remember you made the comment about, I don't feel sorry for people when they said, I want to get to here, but they don't want to take out going to the bar or whatever that case is.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes to do it.
Yeah.
I've had some people ask me, well, how do you do it? And I'm like, I can't say it. You just grind it. You just do
Right,
whatever you have to
That's
do
the word right there.
to do it.
You got to
I mean,
grind, man.
I mean, I have worked till 4 o'clock in the morning to get a job done. I mean, you just got to do whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
It's funny, the guy, Mike, I can't think of his last name. Y'all probably know him. He played the Blue Power Ranger. He used to have a studio next door to us.
Oh, yeah?
From Deep
The
Creek.
original Blue Power Ranger?
Yeah. He was from Deep Creek.
What?
Michael.
He's a local boy.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, we didn't know that.
Triceratops. Billy. Billy?
No, his name's Mike.
I'm not the Power
Michael-
Ranger dude, man.
It was Billy.
Is that his name? In the
I have no idea. Let's look it up. That's crazy. I didn't know he was a local guy.
Yeah, so he had a studio next to mine for a little while.
Recording or film?
A little of both. It was like
It's kinda like us.
recording studio. What the hell was his name? But so I was talking to him one day, and it was kind of. I'm not going to go into the whole conversation, but I can tell you that off camera. But it was funny. He was talking about some of the people that he was trying to get, to make it into business. He said, but nobody wants to do the grind. He's
Right.
like, when I moved to California, he said, I slept in my car for 2 weeks
Wow.
before he could get a place and where he was making any money. And so, I mean, but people don't want to do that today. But that's what it
Yeah.
takes. It
Yeah.
takes a workaholic. I mean, I know you guys are not home a lot.
Right.
Doing the stuff y'all are doing plus a full-time job.
Yeah, man. How long have you been in business?
20 years.
20 years, dude.
October 4th was 20 years.
And you're still grinding. Do you feel like you're still like? Is
No,
it
you're
any
still-
easier?
I wouldn't say it's any easier. I would say more you kind of know, storms are sort of coming in a way, and in lack of a better term.
Yeah.
You can kind of foresee things a little bit better, maybe.
You just, I don't say you see it. I wouldn't say maybe you see it coming. When you're in it, you kind of, okay, this is a slow day. We're not going to make a dime today.
Right.
But tomorrow we could be so slammed and make enough money for 2 days or
Yeah.
3 days. And then, it's just that's just the way it seems, everybody thinks this is this perfect world where you can just have enough business every day to make whatever.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
not,
Yeah,
that's
no.
just not reality.
Well, we kind of share a parallel in our businesses, even though we're so far apart in what we do.
Sure.
But it's a gig business.
Yes.
It's you're not really guaranteed anything.
No.
You know what I mean?
In
You
business,
have to
you-
have customers come
Correct.
to you.
Right.
Or you got to go find them, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
we kind of share that.
Yeah.
With what we do.
Yeah, and that's in any business today. I mean, I was supposed to say, people from the outside, they always think it's easy. Yeah, and they just think you're out front and you're just collecting the money, but it's
Yeah.
farthest from the
Well, they
truth,
forget,
man.
the amount of, as a self-employed person, you're getting taxed incredibly more than if you work for someone else. So you're paying a chunk of what you come in goes in taxes, goes in overhead, goes in a whole bunch of stuff. If you could take any of that home.
Right.
Like, people don't realize, like, to work for yourself, you're going to have to accept the fact that a lot of times you'll get less than minimum wage when you really look at it. Like, if you sit down and do
yeah.
the math of how many hours you work,
For sure.
it's like you really made less than minimum wage when you really think about it.
And you made a really good point. You talked about a time where you were up all night working on a project till 4 a.m.
It still happens to today.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's like what we do, and we tell everybody, when we produce something for you, yeah, we're going to kind of gauge how long we think it's going to take, but we're not going to, you know what I mean? We want it to get done right.
Right.
Yeah, we don't cut it off.
We
Like,
don't
if we
cut
quoted
off.
you 4 hours and it took 6, we don't have a timer and say, oh, well, whatever got done, got done.
Right.
That's the end product.
Cut.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll see you in the editing room. We don't do that, man. And that was really cool to you. I mean, dude, I just pulled my car into your shop a couple days ago and it's done.
Yeah, yeah.
And it had extensive damage.
Yeah, but
Extensive,
I mean, that's part of the job, and it's not always the case because we're so small. Sometimes those jobs kind of clog us up, and it takes us longer to do.
Yeah.
In some cases, compared
Yeah.
to some big shop that has 20 guys,
Right.
But we don't have nearly the headache of that.
So Courthouse Imports, I mean, was this a family business? How did you come into running a Napa certified auto care center, man?
So, back up. I've only had one other job in my life.
Oh, wow.
I worked at a place called Barry's Performance and Imports in downtown Norfolk. My Votech teacher, which I don't even know if they have a whole lot of
They still do.
anymore.
It's still
Still
do.
do.
Still
It's
going.
a big deal.
My teacher used to carry his car to this guy, and he had a Saab, and he got me a job there. I was 16. I worked there for 10 years. And the owner treated me like a son, honestly. But his time frame of when he was going to retire was in a completely different decade than when I wanted to kind of go into business or be into business.
Right.
And then I got an uncle that's done very well for himself in the fleet repair business, so like working on tractor and trailers and those type of things. So I used to see him, he was doing so well, and I just, man, I want to be that guy. And for me, and you guys probably don't know this, I don't have much of an education. So for me, I have to work twice as hard, I feel like, to accomplish things. My reading and writing skills are horrible. I mean, I took 7th grade English 3 years straight and never passed. Last year I just slept in class. But I guess I'm getting off subject.
That's a really good point. Keep going, but that's great.
But you just because you're handicapped by whatever it may be, yours may be one thing, mine's another, and yours could be something else. The drive and the grind is what'll get you through it.
If you want it, you're gonna go get it.
You have to go get it. So I mean, I used to do these B&I groups, and it's a business networking thing. So you go and you pitch yourself every week, and I used to be so intimidated by going in there and talking in front of all these very educated
all
people.
The suits, man.
Yeah,
all the suits.
And I feel like I'm down here, and these guys are way up here. And it was funny. I was talking to one of the guys that I knew pretty well at the time, and I was just kind of telling him, you guys are much smarter than I am, yada, yada, yada. And he looked at me and he's like, man, I would have never known if you hadn't have told me. Wow. He's like, you're no different than anybody else. You've got a business, you did it. I'm like, yeah, but I'm just barely making it. I make a living. And that's all you can really ask for. Yeah. I mean, some people think you're making much more than you are, but yeah.
How much money do you make?
$1 million.
Yeah, what did you gross last year?
Yeah. I need to see the paperwork.
No, that's huge though, because what you mentioned kind of goes parallel with the point we've discussed before. We got kids, and we kind of agree that the way we raise our children is not necessarily pushing them towards the college thing always. Like college is great, education is important. But what's more important is identifying your passion and being the best at that. Like, so if you didn't make it, to a certain grade in school, that also, like, it just supports the fact that school is not everything. Like, that's not the reason to stop.
No, I agree and disagree. I mean, I think it's because I guess from my perspective, I so wish I could read and write better than I can. And it pisses me off sometimes.
Yeah.
But I mean, heck, I could be.
But it's
if
not
I did, I could. Who knows what I would be like?
Well,
you know what I mean?
It didn't stop you. And as the business grows, you probably start putting people in position. Because one thing Matt and I learned too is like I think more so for me, but maybe Matt also. But for me, I learned that I don't have to do everything myself, and I got to find my strengths and start bringing in other people next to me, and just realize like. You shouldn't be intimidated because somebody's better at one thing that you like. Like there's a lot of things Matt's better than me at, and there's a lot of things that I could do better than Matt. And we just get together and we know where we all fit in. And we're still learning that today. Like kind of like we're learning how to build a business. We have a lifelong friendship, but there's also just it's hard, dude. And maybe even as a man, like it makes it even harder. Like there's that whole like I want to be in control. Like I want to,
because we're both very strong personalities. You know what I mean? And on paper, you look at it, it's like, oh, do you think they could work together? Like, I don't know.
But opposites attract, though.
Yeah, man.
People say might be strong, but you're probably opposite in other things.
Well, Tony nailed it on the head, man. He lifts me up in certain ways. I lift him up in certain ways, and the goal is to just grow together.
Yeah, but it is hard getting other people to do things that you've been doing or delegated it. It's hard. It's a learning process, right? Because it's been that way for me because I've done it a lot myself through business and Jeffrey working for us for a while and I've finally gotten to the point where I'm not quite trusting with everything because I gotta have my hands in it.
Yeah, you've always done things a certain way and you want perfection. Maybe not perfection, but you want it done a certain way.
Well, in every business, the faster you can do something, the more you can do, the more money you make, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, but the problem, I don't say the problem, but like I always tell Jeffrey, it needs to be done in a timely fashion so that we can all make money. But first and foremost, it's got to be done right.
There you go.
Yeah.
First and foremost, it doesn't matter. The time becomes second at that point.
It is. Yeah. I'm interested in like micro level stuff. Like, so you talked about you only had one job, right? And the thing, and we talked about in the other podcast where the part that people are not willing to do when they start complaining and stuff like that is the amount of free stuff you have to do. Like not necessarily working for free for someone, even though a lot of times that's what it becomes. But there's a lot of stuff you have to do on your own without getting paid. Like you got to go do research on your own. You got to go get experience on your own, however you do that. But you have to do those things. You don't just immediately like day one, you're not getting paid. Right. So like, what are this like, so you only had one job, but like, so what did like day one look like for you? Like, so you were doing cars with your family and stuff like that. And you said, I've got to now.
Honestly, I was kind of fortunate for the first 6 months. When I started with a business partner.
Okay.
We both worked at Barry's Performance, and he had sort of already had like a home, already working on cars, clientele. So he sort of brung them, and that kind of helped us survive.
Okay.
I mean, my first year in business.
That's interesting.
I made $6,000
First year?
first year.
There you go, baby. Hey,
I mean,
you know what? It's nothing to shake. You know, you have to look at that objectively and say, man, that's $6,000 that wasn't there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's funny because I have showed my paperwork to some people because they always think that, you know, I do very well managing my money.
Yeah.
And I've had some, you know, the perception from them is they think this is that I can just write a check for everything, and then show me like, well, how did you make it off of that? Like you just do. You figure it out. I mean, it's like you grind it. I mean, grind is the word. I mean, you just have to grind it out. Whatever it takes, you just do.
Did you ever have like a mentor, like a business mentor?
Yeah,
kind of
so-
showing you the ropes of, you know, how to make this thing run?
So I've been very fortunate. My uncle, mobile truck and trailer repair was his business. He retired and actually gave his business to the guy who ran it for him for years, for like 15 years. So I was always able to go by there and sort of have that person that's in business and be honest with me and say, you know, this is, and he had struggled. And so going by there and like, yeah, this is what you need to do, or, you know, try to work on this, or this is just how business is, and had, you know, guided me in sort of a direction. And you know, you look at him now and he's done very well for himself, and you got to be super proud of him because he grew up in you guys probably don't know, but Foundation Park, which is a really low income homes. His dad passed away when he was real young, and his mother passed away when he was like 20 years old, and he's kind of been on his own, no education.
Wow.
And almost quit. And this is a kind of a good story. And I love stories that people are about to give up and they continue on and become successful. But he actually had went and was getting another job, and his had to have a physical done to work on tractor and trailers. You have to have a driver's license for him, and his blood pressure was too high. And they told him, you can go to the doctor and get some medication and come back and you pass the physical and you had a job. But when he went back to the shop, a company, ACI Glass, had come by and they're like, hey, we want you to work on all of our trucks, and kind of went from, you know, ready to give up to making money and making a good living. And, you know,
Wow.
you just never know when that one thing,
Right.
you know, sends you in the right direction, you know.
That's awesome, man.
You know, but those things intrigue me, like Purdue Chicken. I know it's kind of strange out of it, but he only had a 4th grade education. How do you have a 4th grade education and become Purdue? I mean, the chicken people. I mean, it's crazy.
It sounds like people that just stick to their passion. Like that was the thing I was saying with you. Like the school is important. It's good to continue your education if you have that interest, though. And what does it apply for? Like, I'm all for like plans and stuff like that. Like I was asking my daughter Annalise the other day. It's like, what do you want to do? She's like, oh, I want to be a vet and stuff like that. And I was like, well, if you want to be a vet, what's your next step? Oh, I don't know. And I was like, well, your first step then is to figure out what you have to do to be a vet. What are the requirements? You know, who can you talk to? Because just saying I want to do that, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a mechanic, that's not enough. And a lot of people actually stop there. Like I want to be a mechanic. Okay, so since no one is knocking on my door to give me a job and paying me a good salary to live on my own, I'm gonna give up and go somewhere else.
That's exactly right.
And they don't get it. Like do the research. Like we were telling a young man the other day when we did a shoot. He was saying he wanted to do sneakers. And remember, like I told this kid, I was like, you have to prepare yourself and be willing to go knock on the door of people that do sneakers and say, I want to work for free. Like, can I get a couple hours where I just work for you and get to see the business and just learn?
Because you're the knowledge that you'll get from that, you can't buy.
No, you can't. You can't go. There's no school that can do that for you.
Right.
You know, getting in there, getting in the industry, people that are doing it.
Right.
You know.
What's maybe some things that you did in business that you feel like now looking back like you would have done different?
Business side.
Man, that's tough. I don't know, man. That's a really tough one. One time, several years ago, when businesses slowed down and the economy was terrible, it was kind of funny because I was sitting at my desk and the guy who got me into BNI Group, Don Metters, we were talking and he's like, you know, what you're doing is like insanity. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you're right. You know, I was kind of sitting there at work and, you know, I'm broke and you know, there's really not a lot of work going on and it's just me and you know, I'm thinking of all the worst and I'm like, you know, I can't read, you know, you're going back on what your problems are, or your, you know,
Right.
reading the right skills. You know, if I could read, that would be so much easier to implement some of these programs that people do. But I'm just, you know, I struggle with it, so it takes me so longer to do.
Right.
And he's like, why don't you join this BNI group? And, you know, da 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 da. And it was actually great because, you know, yeah, I was intimidated for a while in the beginning, but you also get to meet a lot of people, and you get to learn what Tony does in business that kind of helps him to promote, and then you learn what you do in business and helps promote, and vice versa. Or this person knows somebody and says, hey, you know, here's such and such that, you know, owns a company and they have some trucks, or vice versa. And their goal is to pass business back and forth, but you also get to learn a lot.
Right.
And a lot of those people that have kind of gotten outside of that BNI group, they're still customers. But that's probably been some of my tougher stuff, or biggest thing that I learned. The things I could change, I mean, I just don't know, because, you know, I wouldn't be who I am today if I hadn't went through those things.
Sure.
Even though, you know, and you kind of touched on that on the first podcast, but that's what makes us who we are today.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not much of a regret person.
Yeah, not necessarily regrets either. It's just, you know, because we're figuring this thing out on our own. Like, and we're grateful to have, like, you know, people like you. And even this conversation means a lot to us because Matt and I discussed before, like, we feel the difference between us and like the super wealthy that, you know, have $1 million businesses and stuff like that is that there's a gap of knowledge. Like there's at that $1 million level where they're super wealthy or we think they're doing really well, they're not really, at least in our experience, they're not really reaching back and kind of giving us the blueprint or like, hey, this is what you need to look out for. So that's like really part of our like mission with this whole thing was like, let's talk to people that are doing what we want to do. Like not shooting videos, but just business people.
Right, because they can all relate in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
And I did read one book, and it talked about I can't remember how exactly it went along, and it was a couple things about the grind, and it was like this guy that had gotten a job at a grocery store, and he did twice as much work as the guy next to him, and he did it on purpose. But he also said, you know, if you want to succeed in a business, surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, or successful people, and go talk to them, because successful people mostly like to see other people succeed. But you got to go reach for them, or, you know, so you know, I mean, if we're all in these $1 million companies and we hang around them, they want to see you succeed. If you're willing to put the grind in, they're like, hey, you know, try this or do that, and those type of things.
It's an interesting strategy, man.
Networking.
Well,
It is amazing how that works.
With successful people, because there's sometimes you run into people and you think they're successful from the outside, and sometimes you learn they're not.
Is that not the truth nowadays?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, social media, we bash it all the time. It's like, man, it's the highlight reel, man.
And be willing to give up your family time, because that's what it takes. I mean, I know you guys got to deal with it, because I've dealt with it. You know, I mean, my daughter's grown now, but I mean, I wasn't home a lot because I was working. You know, and I mean, sometimes you could say that, you know, if I'd have just had a job and I had to worry about that, but that's a tough one, man, because that wouldn't make me happy.
Yeah, once
awesome,
you get
man.
used to doing your own thing, right? You can't imagine someone telling you, hey, you need to be here at this hour. And
Yeah.
It's,
and then you're looking at the clock when it's 5:45, and you're like, man, we get out of here at 6. You know, now I don't even think about leaving at 6. I mean, I don't leave till 7 o'clock.
well, yeah, you're thinking about the mission, the job. You know what I mean?
And talk about it with your daughter, kind of the same thing with my daughter. And I mean, I'd make her work during the summer. She'd be at my shop tuning cars up.
Really?
Yes,
good.
sir.
Oh, that's
good.
awesome, man.
I mean, she likes it, or you do it as a punishment?
No, she didn't like it at all.
It's a character building experience. It's a character building experience.
No, but that's good. It's good to go out there and earn your own, like,
Yes.
with that
That's
experience.
awesome, man.
And I will say, she has never asked to borrow $1 from me, and she's 25 years old. They own their own house.
Oh, that's cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, because
25 in 2020?
Yeah. Because
Wow.
if you wanted anything in my house, you had to work for it.
Yeah.
And that's the way I grew up.
There you
she
go,
wanted
man.
she wanted a new phone. All right, well, you need to cut the grass, and you make some money. In 3 or 4 months, you'll have enough money, and you will go get it.
There you
I'm
go.
not buying it for you.
Yeah,
There
man.
you go, man.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy. You had her working in the shop, man. That's so cool.
Yeah, I posted a picture a couple weeks ago because it was like on my memory where she was outside. I can't remember if she was cleaning the car, but we had just tuned some Honda up, and yeah, I made her put spark plugs and stuff in it. But yeah, I mean, life's not free, man, and life is
Yeah.
not fair.
That's another side benefit of having your own business. Is you can't do that. If you were working for somebody else, you wouldn't be able to give your daughter that experience.
No, absolutely not.
And that's another thing, like to teach your kids, like, this is actual experience.
This
like
is what it
this
takes.
is not me, because that's the hardest part about growing up. Like,
Oh, yeah.
doing what your dad says because I told you so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard, like, to tell somebody, hey, this is gonna happen this way. Like, let them experience it themselves.
Yeah. How many times you hear that? Because I told you so.
Oh yeah, no, it's
Oh, yeah.
it's
Why? Why, Daddy?
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's hard to learn from other people's experience. Like, ideally, you would want to, you'd
Yeah.
want to see it and believe it, but nah, unless you hit your head against the wall 5 times, like, you're not gonna understand it. At least me, that's how I learned.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I learned getting beat up. Like, just all right, it's not gonna work then. Like, you stick your
Right,
finger in the
but
socket
that's-
12
but
times.
that's
Like,
the
I
best-
get it now. Like,
But that's the best school, really, though.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
man.
funny because there was a guy that was working with us at Barry's one time, and he had left the oil cap off a car, right? Well, it was like $5. Wasn't a big deal on the price of it, but when the boss made him buy it, and he did it. This was like his 3rd time,
Right.
and after the 3rd time, he made him buy it. He was mad as hell. And I said, "What are you mad for?" He's like, "You made me buy that damn $6 thing." I was like, "It's not really the principle of the money. It's more you're not going to forget because the money come out of your pocket."
yeah.
It's yours now.
Yeah.
Right.
It's yours now.
He never left another one loose.
That's funny. That brings up something could be fun to talk about. What's the craziest thing you've seen come into your shop, man, over all these 20 years? Anything wild stand out?
Dirty, man. Really,
What do you mean dirty? Just
man. I've had
we're talking like dead cats in a carburetor, or
man. I've had a few, very few, but I've had a couple of them. Like I literally have to hold my head out the window to drive it into the shop. Like it stinks so
Oh
bad.
man.
why does it smell like McDonald's ketchup packets?
I mean, and it just. I mean, you just can't. I mean, bad. Like you couldn't even breathe.
Man, and you just got you got some gas masks in the back, or like how are you mitigating this
Yeah.
issue?
Jeff Wilson in and
Yeah, you get Jeff and your daughter to bring it in, and,
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
learn through experience.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. But just, man, I don't know. There's all kinds of crazy things. It's funny because, it comes easy to me or that side of it, so you don't think none of it, how interesting it is to other people. Today we had a Mercedes, a C300, and it come in with its it was towed in, and it wouldn't move, so it was like in this limp home mode, they call it. And
A what? What's it
They
called?
call it a limp home mode. So
Limp
like if
home.
there's
Oh, like you're limping
limp home,
home.
like
right,
Okay,
correctly.
okay.
Like it won't run over so fast.
right, like if
And
you
it-
hit a curb. It just-
Yeah.
Yeah, but God love you.
hey, you didn't have to.
right.
So yeah, okay, limp home. Keep going.
Limp home.
Shut up,
Limp
Tony.
home.
That wasn't an option.
Yeah.
But it came up with this code for a throttle body. Well, and this thing was like $1,800. I'm like, good God, man! I had to replace one on it. Well, we looked down there and a mouse had chewed the wires in two.
Oh man, that's
Yes.
wild.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It kind of makes sense though. In the winter, they start looking for little, little
Somewhere warm,
spots or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but do you know why? It's a tech tip.
Oh, here we go.
Do I know why? What?
Here,
Why
get closer.
mice like wires?
Get
'Cause it's-
closer.
'cause
Get
it-
closer for
'cause
the
it's
tech
a-
tip. I want to
it's
hear the
not
tech
an
tip.
uncommon thing.
Because copper tastes well to mice.
No, so the coating that are on wire is made out of soybeans. It's a soybean based.
Are you serious?
This is where we
Yes.
need like a sound effect, like a ding.
Yeah. Oh
so there's,
yeah.
there's their wires. They're just.
Oh man.
Let me see this. Man, that soybeans.
Well, so I mean that's less than a throttle body, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like $300 instead of $1,800. And you
Wow.
Charge them $300 to wrap that with electrical tape.
You got to solder them and do it right because they should coming apart.
Wow, man. We're in the wrong business, Tony.
Courthouse Imports, they'll beat you over the head.
Right.
Nah.
That's funny.
At least I'm not like an attorney. See, if I'm even thinking about your case, I'm charging you for it.
Yeah, you're on the clock, man.
That's right.
Punch in.
Also, the one thing that came to mind, we didn't talk about this, but how do you feel about the proposal to get rid of car inspections?
Obviously, I'm on the other side
You're a little
of
biased,
it.
ain't you?
Yeah, no,
right, sure.
This is
'Cause I'm
good.
on-
This is good.
So for clarity, the $25 for an inspection, right? That goes straight to the mechanic.
No, so it's $20.
20, yeah.
And the sticker cost us, it's like $1.50, I think. They bill us every quarter now for them.
Okay.
So most of it does. But honestly, what you get, there's no money to be made in
Okay.
inspections.
So continue with what your opinion
Yeah, all right,
is on
so
whether
here
we
we
should
go.
have it or not. Because
Because you can't imagine like how many, and I probably don't see it as much as like some of these side street places see it. The things that are wrong with cars and people like, well, I don't want to fix it. Well, no, you got to fix it to pass inspection.
right.
And this is kind of a double-edged sword because I'm sure there's places that use it to sell stuff. And that's the sucky part of it.
Right,
But that's in every
right,
business.
right.
I used to take it personal, but it's in every business.
Right.
So you got to weed those people out regardless. But the safety inspection, I mean, it's for a good thing. It's to make sure that when you're on the road, your stuff doesn't break. I mean, and honestly, if I showed you like how much it takes to pass inspection for brake pads or tires, it's pretty damn minimal. Like we tell people before that they need them.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it 230 seconds for brake pads. I mean, it's minimal.
Tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
you got like you got
start
like a week.
that, like and
Right.
you can take it in with that and still pass. Like
Correct. Yeah. So I mean, it's not going to last but a couple of weeks, maybe, depending on how you drive. So I mean, I think it's important. I mean, how much are we really going to save by doing it? To me, it's not that much for what you get.
Yeah.
Well, and here's what I'll say about you and why we've always gone back to you is because you kind of alluded to it. Like you're not looking for reasons to fail someone.
Correct.
Like you do what you need to do and you make sure it's good to go. But what you were talking about is that there's some shops that will sit there and look and lift up the car, shake this, shake that, and they're trying to get you on an upcharge. Like, hey, you're
Correct.
here. If you don't want that little pink sticker, give me another $1,000. Like, so yeah, I get it. But don't you feel like it's people's right to drive a busted up car if they want?
That's a good point. I mean, I think everybody has the right to do whatever they want. Because I'm
Yeah,
I'm
but
not.
what if
I'm
that's
not,
putting other people in danger, man?
and that's
the
where it
counterpoint.
comes in.
Yeah.
Because I think it's in Florida they don't have inspections. I think
Yeah, there's quite a
a
few
couple
states
states
that
that don't
don't.
have it at all.
And nothing bad ever happens in Florida.
Yeah.
Well, not with
Well,
cars.
I mean,
I know.
there was a case.
Florida man doesn't get inspection and mauls a 90-year-old man in a supermarket.
But at one time, like you're
Isn't that how every Florida man? You see these Florida headlines, man? Have you ever looked these up?
no.
Dude, just go to Google and just put in Florida man and just hit enter.
Oh, I will.
And
As soon as I
enjoy
get-
enjoy the next 4 hours of your life.
Is that like people of Walmart?
Dude, yes, but it's an entire state. No offense to all my Florida people out there, but
You're right.
y'all got some crazy people down there. All right, but anyway, okay, so
But at one time, like you didn't have to. Your airbag light could be on.
Right.
And then what happened is there was a woman that got her car inspected. She got in a wreck, and then she got hurt. So then she sued the state. So the state says like, nope, you got to put that back on inspection. So now we got to have that. So if we were in such a sue happy state, I would probably say, okay, let's
Yeah,
not go without it.
drive your car busted up if you
Yeah.
want. It's
Yeah, if it
you'll get
rolls.
stuck on the side of the road, and then tow companies will love it.
Right, but what if her brakes don't work and they run some kid over?
Yeah, no, this is the truth. But
And
then
then
that
so
person's
then-
responsible.
You would think, but the way today is like this woman, because her car passed inspection, the airbag didn't deploy, and she got hurt. She sued the state and won money. So then the state says, okay, now we got to have this implemented.
Yeah, the legal system is kind of a joke, isn't it?
It 100%.
let's just be clear.
Yeah,
You got
no,
dead
for sure.
serious.
Yeah, have you
Yes.
ever looked up like what is it? I can't even say it. Junky lawsuits. You know, where like frivolous. I can't
Yeah,
even say it.
frivolous. Yeah, right. Yeah,
Frivolous,
yeah.
yeah.
There was one in there. This guy, I
Just
forgot
nonsense.
how much money he won because he was driving his motorhome, and it doesn't say in the owner's manual that you can't get up from behind the driver's seat and go to the bathroom while you're going down the road and wreck.
Bro, Bro.
like really?
Well, it's like the McDonald's, like
The hot
Yes.
coffee.
the hot coffee. Like I didn't know it was gonna burn me. I didn't know it was that hot.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't know the coffee was gonna be that hot.
Now the lid says hot on it. The cup says hot.
You hold it
Like,
and it's
come on.
hot.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, that's
stuff
funny.
happens, man. Stuff happens.
So you didn't mess with my airbag? Morgan Freeman says you need
I'm
to.
gonna have to talk to my
Why
attorney
can't you do
before I answer
recalls?
that.
Okay.
Why can't you do recalls?
Yeah, why-
What do
yeah.
you have to do recalls to qualify for that?
That has to be done at the dealership.
Ah.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
Yeah.
Program is run through them.
Got
Okay,
it.
that'd be cool.
Yeah,
So the
man.
Napa thing, how'd that all work out?
So they had been after me for a good while to join the program, and it's a pretty good program. So
Because they saw your great videos.
yeah, right. Well, they do love that. Like, dude, at the expo they had here, the guy did the air filter video, and he's like, Scott, I'm gonna make you famous because this video is going in all of my videos, my productions that go all over around the United States with the Napa program.
Well, that would have been a
So-
good pat on the back for us if you would have shared that
Yeah,
information.
thanks a lot, Scott. Wow.
Well, I wanted
Wow.
to give it to you live, but he did, and so
That's awesome,
So
man.
They love the videos, and it's been a big topic locally for the local chapters that sort of help steer the program per se.
Okay.
And they were like, "Man, Scott's on something with these videos." So it's gonna be
TsunamiDigitalMedia.com. My number is 757. No, I'm just joking.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know, I mean, I've tried to get you guys sort of involved,
Yeah,
as,
you have.
as much as I can.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, you know, man, social media is where it's at. And it's funny because I actually posted. Y'all can't see it in the ones that I did, but my website is like coming up for a renewal. Like, and Napa has these programs to help you with it, but it's like so expensive. And I'm like,
Right.
man, do I really need a website?
Yes and no. It depends. I think everybody still needs a website. It's important because there's different things you can use your website for, right?
$200 or
Like,
$300 a month.
nah. You
Yeah,
don't,
really?
we'll talk about that offline. You don't
Yeah.
need to spend that much. No,
that's
we don't spend that much.
The way we see websites, I get what you're saying. You know,
I mean, this is more y'all's expertise.
yeah, it's like
than-
people
than
that are
mine.
like, you know, the newspaper's never going away. Magazines
Oh.
are going away. You know, all this stuff. But I
newspaper's
get
been
what you're
losing
getting
money
at.
for-
But website, you know, it's kind of like a, it's like a business card 24/7, man.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
mean,
I mean? If
everybody
people
on
wanna-
in our Napa group on Facebook, and then there's a repair shop owners thing. They're like, no, you got to have one. You got to have one.
But it's interesting. You know what's funny? Hearing you say that, when I see somebody new, a new company, or I see a truck out on the road with a logo, and, you know, I don't go to their website right away. I usually pull up Instagram. I usually pull up Facebook. And I check them out there first. That's kind of my
Well, see,
MO.
I
Like
was
I
kinda-
always do that first.
And that's why I was sort of asking, like, you know, should I spend more money on this thing, or should I just renew my website that I have, just, you know, kind of
Well,
outdated?
the benefit of the website is it's like fully customizable, and you can have things show up the way you want it to show up. Where Facebook, you know, you boost your stuff, it's gonna come across way more timelines, and there's huge exposure there. But you know, if you got any pictures and other things you want people seeing, you could direct them to their website, and now they can go through a feed of your videos and stuff like that. So they can do those things on YouTube. But I think for you, what would make sense for the website is it'd be nice if you got to the point where you could have like a calendar on your website, and you could just let people know this is when you can book me. You know, that'd be cool if you got to that stage where you could kind of gauge your time, and people already know, like, all right, he's kind of like what barbershops do, like with you. It'd be like, I know that next Thursday he has from, 12 to 1, and then they could drop off their car to get inspected at that time or stuff like that. Like for appointments and stuff, it'd be cool, I think.
Yeah, and
Some
some
ways
of the
to-
sites do a lot of that type stuff, but I'm probably like the worst on scheduling.
Now, but there's ways that there's a couple.
People call me and are like, "Hey,
There-
can I bring my car on? Yeah, you'll bring it in." Then they're like, the next day I'm like, "Who was that? It's coming in on Tuesday." And then they come in and I'm like, "Oh yeah, what was that? Oh yeah. I'll
We got room.
I'll get it done."
Yeah.
That's life, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But I guess going back to the Napa thing, they had asked me, and I went to one of their programs. And let's face it, and this is kind of the thing about surrounding yourself with smarter people. And that's kind of the way I looked at it. Napa is a multi-billion-dollar company. They're much smarter than I am. And they have a lot of programs to help our business succeed. Of course, the better our business is, the more parts we're going to buy from them, right?
Right.
So, one hand feeds the other. Plus, there's a bunch of other shops all their owners or supervisors or whatever are there, and you get to talk to them and, hey, how's things going for you, and what is works for you.
It's another network, man.
Correct. Yeah. So that in some of the programs that they sort of share, kind of made it a good fit. I thought, you get 20. They call it 24. You get 24 months, 24,000 miles. Nationwide warranty. If we put an alternator on Tony's car and he drives to California, you go to another Napa Auto Care and it's under warranty.
Okay.
So that's some
A lot
big
of benefits, man. A lot of benefits. Cool.
So those have been kind of the biggest things, and I finally took the plunge, and it's been pretty good, honestly.
As a consumer, brand recognition, it's important. You
Yeah,
roll up to you got that beautiful new sign out front.
Yeah.
It is nice. It kind of gives me, from somebody who knows nothing about cars, going, oh wow, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. He's got a logo that says Napa.
It's silly, right? When you live in like kind of with tighter means, like we were talking about, and you do have to invest in some of these like visuals. Like from an operational standpoint, you're like, man, I wish I didn't have to do it, but
Yeah.
people are gonna be impressed by some plants in the lobby, and if I got a fancy chair, like they're.
And you don't realize, sometimes you don't realize like how much those little things matter. Because sometimes when you're in the grind, you can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah, man.
Of having a nice office, or it's funny, when I was at the other location before we moved, there was people that gave us great reviews, and they're like, don't let the dungy office deter you from going there. He's a great guy, yada yada. It was an old building that we were in, but yeah, you don't realize like how much those things matter. And then when the economy was in a rough spot, Jasper Engines was we used to put their engines, and we don't really do that much of that anymore, but they had these classes that they would do all over the state, and it was free. They would come and feed you, and you'd show up, and they were like, hey, don't they were taking pictures, and they would purposely come through the area, the sales guy would, and take pictures of bathrooms, right? And they were like, look, most consumers today are females. Whose bathroom is this? And they're like, and they were like, look, man, buy a $100 toilet, put some paint on the wall, and make it look nice.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you.
Put some paint on the wall.
Yeah, I mean, some of these you could imagine.
Throw some paint on the wall.
You could imagine how some of these bathrooms look. The pictures that they were showing.
I can only imagine. Yeah, they handpicked the best ones.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we used to sort of. I had some flyers done. We had a picture of a bathroom in it before we just remodeled it again. But so many women, that's important to them.
Yeah.
And it's not important to the back half of the business when you think I'm trying to make a living, and the bathroom doesn't make me any money, but it makes people feel better and comfortable in your business. So
it's all about sometimes it's about appearances too, man.
Right. And we do, sometimes you get involved in the business, you can't see from the outside in. So sometimes it's hard criticism, because I'm not crazy over criticism, but sometimes you
Who
need
is,
it.
man?
I mean, it's tough, because it's like your ego, but you just got to do it, though. So, but that's been good though.
Yeah.
Very
so what's
cool.
next for Courthouse?
Yeah. What's next, man?
I don't know, man. We've added a few things. I know one thing. It's time to do another video.
Yeah.
Oh, hey.
Anybody do that?
On there.
I mean, I'm looking.
You're looking. We'll get back to you.
But we've added some stuff like the tire machine. We got a brand new alignment machine that's the latest and greatest, 25 G's worth. So, I mean, but it's so much faster and it's so much more accurate. But there's been things that have been really good for us, not have to send somebody out like your tires, and we did all the suspension stuff and aligned it
In-house.
In-house, and I have to send you somewhere else. So that's been really good, and they've been great added on to the business and let us do a little bit more gross for the year. So this has been good add-ons. But I'd say in the future we're just put a ceiling in the office.
I saw the pictures. It looks nice.
Yeah, it's turned out really nice. So we're going to remodel that before the summer sometime, is when we go to the Napa convention in Vegas.
You're gonna take us.
If I make it back. So hopefully that'll be next, and then maybe we will add one or two more people. I don't want to get I'm kind of at the point I don't have the aspirations to have this huge shop anymore. And have 10 people, because you really can't. You're not as personable at that point. Then it's not really Scott at Courthouse Imports. It's more just big business. And
you still enjoy getting your hands dirty, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. Like, who knows? You know, maybe later on you get tired and you don't have that same energy, and you might want to just have somebody in there kind of general managing it, and then you go in there and do the shaking hand and kissing babies type of thing.
Right.
Yeah, man.
And honestly, I mean, working the counter is actually fun because you kind of you build these relationships and friendships, and that's the fun part when somebody believes in you. Of course, it makes you feel good, man.
Yeah.
Well, we believe in you, Scott Allen.
Yeah, man.
We
But
do.
I certainly believe in you guys because
Oh, thank you.
So we appreciate that, man. Dude, been a lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for stopping by and hanging out.
no, it's been fun, man, and keep it up, man. It'll get.
You got anything you want to plug specifically? You got any sales going on? You want to let people know where you're at or something? Like, you got anything?
I mean, we're at Chandler Creek Road, Courthouse Imports. We work on everything. So there are a lot of people look at us and they're like, "Oh, do you just work on imports?" And that's what we kind of started, but we work on everything. And I tell people, it's my job to tell you what I see and think, and it's your job to do what's best for you. Either you want to do it or you don't.
Yeah.
I'm gonna still be here tomorrow, and that's it. Because I hate the pushy sales type.
Yeah.
So I'm not a good pitcher. I'm not a good salesman. That's what I tell people. They're like, "You got a card?" I'm like, "Nope."
Well, you do good work, man. You do good work.
Just Google me.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, and one thing we could say, and it's funny, when Matt, needed your help or whatever, full disclosure, I told Matt, I was like, the thing about Scott is I've dealt with a lot of different shops and stuff like that, and with Scott, I 100% trust that if he says this is what's wrong with it, that's what's wrong with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's not that and something else, because it's like, well, while I'm down here, why don't I go ahead and change this and change that? And it's like, if it's a strike, it's a strike.
Yeah, and you were the first person that came to mind. I was like, man, let's call up Scott.
Yeah.
Let's call up Scott, man.
Yeah, and even us, we still run it. It's funny, I had a woman call today, and her daughter's car's in there, and she was telling me she has another car at some other shop, and it's gonna be $1,500, and she's like, they want $200 for a battery, and I'm like, well, that's not really outrageous today,
Right.
And they always think somebody's taking advantage of them,
Yeah.
but then you hear the horror stories where people do, So I say I used to take it personal when you hear all these we're not all like that, But when I first started, that was probably the biggest thing I had to get over. People would question me, like. Just so it really needs that.
It's a bad rap.
Unfortunately, in your industry, like it's
But
real
it's in
common.
every-
It's
it's
real
in every
common from a
industry.
consumer to walk in. It's like, I'm gonna walk in here and get screwed. Like,
Right.
how was this guy? Like, you're just already pumping yourself up. Like, you're already kind of like an enemy. Like, this
Right.
guy's gonna overcharge me. He's gonna give me stuff I don't need.
Yeah.
Like, so, but not at least with
not
us.
not give you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. He's gonna sell you, and then,
Right.
Yeah.
But
you're
at least
right.
with us, we have that. You develop that trust, like that. We get it. Like, it's like,
Right, and that's my biggest, I would say, accomplishment. Really, when people come,
something
I
to be
mean, I've
proud
had
of.
people
Yeah,
come
yeah.
in. I've literally had people come in and give me their credit cards and say, "When this one runs out, put it on this one." I'm like, or leave me a blank check. I mean, literally a blank check, and I'm like,
Just like get it done.
I'm
what
like,
needs to be
I'll
done.
call you, and they're like, no. Look, if it's over 1,000, then call me. I'm like, I'm gonna call you anyway.
There you go.
yeah, that's,
God,
a
I
good
wasn't
policy.
somebody to spend my money without my knowledge.
Man.
Right.
They need any videos?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just joking, man. Oh, dude. Well, thank you for being honest, man.
No,
thank
man,
you for
thank
being
you.
a great friend, and thank you for coming on the show, man.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun, dude.
It's
Yeah,
been
man.
fun. I look forward to the next video.
Yes.
yes.
We'll see you next time.
We'll do that
man.
real soon.
Fantastic. Scott Allen, Courthouse Imports.
Thanks, man.
Thank you so much, dude.
Thank you, sir.
Great seeing
Y'all
you.
keep it up.
I'm glad you enjoyed your Coca-Cola.
This dude didn't even open it.
No.
I know, man.
We always do this thing. Oh, well, I'm Matt,
I'm Tony.
and this is the Tsunami Podcast.
Yes, sir.
You're always late. I can't take you anymore. You have no more sick time to